Welcome to the Immigrant's Path, showcasing the successes, challenges, and the many paths to America. Brought to you by Sarraf Gentile LLP, a New York-based law firm representing individuals nationwide on immigration and other complex litigation matters.
Hello, I'm Joe Gentile. I'm the host of the Immigrant's Path podcast. Thanks for joining us. So this is a new podcast, and it is going to be geared towards educating and entertaining on the topic of immigration. And we plan to do that through an interview format where I'm going to be interviewing some, at least what I think are very interesting people, and I hope you all agree. Some will be immigrants themselves, and we'll go through the successes and struggles that they had upon coming to the U.S. and getting to the U.S. We're going to also interview some experts and attorneys on the nuts and bolts of coming here and eventually becoming a permanent resident and a citizen. The first guest that we have is Mustafa Bayramoglu. He's the CEO and founder of the venture capital-backed startup Preflight. If anything, this interview really shows the power of persistence. Mustafa's story just completely personifies that and how powerful it can be. It took him multiple attempts to eventually get to the U.S., and once he got here, another series of multiple attempts to get a green card. He, as part of his dream of starting a tech company here, he applied to Y Combinator, which is the most prestigious and most well-known tech incubator in the world. It took him 6 attempts to eventually get in. He then, to start his company, had to raise money. He did over 100 pitches to eventually raise the money to start his company, which seems to be going really well, and we're going to get into that in the interview. So here is my interview with Mustafa. I hope you enjoy it as much as I did. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Hi, I'm Joe Gentile. I'm a partner at Sarraf Gentile LLP, and today I have with me Mustafa Bayramoglu, who is the founder and CEO of the venture capital-backed startup Preflight. Thanks for coming on. I really appreciate the time.
Hey, Joe. Thank you very much for having me.
Sure.
Yeah, excited to talk to you.
Yeah, so I first came across you through that article that you wrote on TechCrunch. So that came out this month in August, and it was titled 3 Invaluable Founder Lessons I Learned on My Immigration Journey. So I was really impressed by what you wrote in the article. And I guess the first question I have is why did you decide to write that article?
So, always good to have a TechCrunch article. Yeah. So it's good for business. So, and then I realized maybe I can take advantage of what I have had. And I realized that, a lot of founders are, having problems getting into YC. And I realized, oh man, I actually went through a lot, and maybe I can just, get a TechCrunch article about me. And then actually I sent out like a couple of editors, and then they said, I think Danny told me, okay, yeah, we would love to publish your article. And then I was, oh man, that's amazing. Okay, let me just get back and prepare my thoughts around it. And then luckily it turned out okay.
Yeah, it came really good. But you're right. Reading that does have an effect on how you view the business, because if you look at a startup and you don't have the background of the founder, it's easy for it to blend in some way. But then when you learn something about the person that's behind the business, it really makes you look at it differently. And it kind of reminds me, I don't know where I heard this, but I remember somewhere there's this adage in the startup world that you bet on the jockey, you don't bet on the horse. So it's always good to get the story of the jockey out there, I guess.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
The thing is, I think it's so hard. Okay, everyone talks about how hard it is to, create a startup, but like when you get into it, you know, like, yeah, it's not, I don't think no one can explain it. It's just, yeah, uh, like sometimes the customer is being, you know, paying,
Yeah.
or you cannot get an investment, or you have to talk to a lot of VCs. It's really like ups and downs. It's just you have to keep going.
Yeah, I mean,
Otherwise, that's why a lot of founders fail, actually.
I don't have a startup per se, but I do have my own business. I have my own law firm. And
Mhm.
so I think one point in commonality with that is most people, when they start a law firm, and I assume it's the same for a startup, you're
Absolutely.
unprepared for how many different types of hats that you have to wear and how broad that skill set has to be to make it happen. So, not only do you have to be good, I guess in your case with coding, or in my case with law, but you have to be good at marketing, you have to be good at managing people. There's
Absolutely.
so many different hats you have to wear and that you have to learn as you go. So
Yeah, marketing, I know, like, I think after getting into startup, I also learned that, oh, lawyers need to do marketing as well, because
yeah,
it's really hard to get a job. Like, it's hard to close a deal or person, or like
right.
onboard someone. It's very, yeah, it's very different. Yeah, good luck,
So,
man.
so if we go back to the beginning for you, can you just briefly describe what childhood was like in Turkey?
So childhood was very good. I lived in a like a site where, you know, I had a lot of friends.
Mhm,
So that was very good. And when I was, yeah, when I was 4, actually, my father brought a PC
mhm,
to our home. And then I first like, okay, I want to take it apart. And I had some friends as well. I think they also started having like PCs. So at the moment, like Turkey, I think was scaling up on the PCs, I think
right.
in 1994, I think. That's when I met like with PC. So it was very good. Yeah, we had no problems. Uh, all good childhood memories.
I remember reading in your article that you had mentioned that at 10 years old, you came to the realization that Macs and Windows were produced in the US. And that at that point, that's when it clicked in you that if you wanted to start a business in the tech area, that the United States would be the place to do it.
Yeah.
So what was your overall, and I mean, maybe not at 10 years old, but as you're getting a little older and you're looking towards going to college, what was your impression of the US before you first came here?
So I actually started coding around 10.
Wow.
So uh, like there was Flash animations back then, and I
Mhm,
was just doing action script and do some animations.
mhm.
It was very popular in 2000s, as you remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Flash games or animations, etc.
Mhm.
Um, so so your question was what was
What
it?
were your impressions of the US
Oh,
before
the
you came
US.
here? Yeah.
Like that's a good question. I don't actually remember very well, but
Mhm,
so I've seen that, okay, Google was picking up at the moment as well. I think like around my like when I was 14 or 13,
mhm,
and like I was using Alta Vista. I remember
mhm.
those days, man. Like
Yeah.
after that, oh, there's Google. We have to use it. Okay, it's very good.
Mhm,
Uh, so and then I realized, man, every company that is actually in the US, so and also everything like what you build goes out to the world from like almost US. And then I
mhm.
realized, oh, maybe I should do the same thing.
Yeah.
Uh, for some reason, yeah, that was always the idea. I don't know how I got the idea, to be honest, but yeah, like I think being with the technology, and also when I was 10 years old, I remember CD-ROMs were very popular, and we didn't
Mhm.
have CD-ROM.
Yeah.
So because you have to, you know, install a game, you have to get a
Right.
CD-ROM.
Right. How old are you? Just to kind of place this time frame.
I think I was around
How old are you
10
now?
or something. I am 30 years old right now.
Okay.
So it was like 20 years ago or something.
Were you an entrepreneurial kid? Were you like, I don't know what the Turkish equivalent would be, but in the US, some kids have a lemonade stand or a newspaper route way back when.
Well, absolutely.
What were some of the things you did?
I was taking a part of like, they're like remote toys, right? Toy cars.
Mm-hmm.
So when they break, I was actually breaking down and merge them together and build my own.
Yeah.
Or like from a box that I found, I just pierce it to put a roller on it, and then just put a machines like put a motor, and then do my own stuff.
Did you sell these to classmates at school or something like that?
So I sold Flash animations actually to my peers to get a good grade.
Wow.
On biology. So I was doing like, okay, how the synapses work.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one of the example. Like synapses has actually releases something to let the other synapses know that okay, something is coming up. So I was just animating that one. I remember that one. I sold that, and that was my first money that I made from I think from animation or like computer software.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah.
You got me.
I think I sold that for like 20 liras or something.
I had a little business delivering newspapers, and then seasonally we'd shovel snow. And then I also was tasked with being like a negotiator for friends if they were going to go buy like comic books or baseball cards to try to get them discounts. And so, but yours is obviously much more sophisticated than what I was doing. So it's impressive.
No, I think it's the same thing. No, I think it's the same thing.
Yeah.
It depends on the like the experience and where it has happened. I think we played also sports card as well, but it was about soccer, not baseball.
So just looking at the immigration journey. So at some point you courageously decide that you're going to emigrate out of Turkey. You're going to come to the United States. From what I understand, there were some initial attempts that didn't work out, but eventually you were able to come here as a grad student. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Was that your first time in the US at all?
Yes. So this is how it happened. So first, after high school, okay, I said I have to go to the US, and then I realized that the colleges are very expensive, and it's like we weren't able to afford it.
Yeah.
And then so what happened is okay, where else I can go? And my father met with someone. Okay, maybe France would be an option. And at the time I had a mistake. I made a mistake. I had no idea about visas and everything. So I have had a green passport at the moment from my dad. So I went to France without any visa. So for there, I actually got like residency for 3 months, and then 3 months with my green passport. And I got 6 months. And at the end of that 6 months, they told me, I think they didn't know as well. Like they shouldn't give residency to green passports. So they, at the end, I would get like 1 year of residency in France, and they told me, look, you don't have visa, you cannot get 1 year residency. I think they were just confirming along the way, oh man, we cannot give residency. And then when I went back to Turkey, I've applied to visa for France. I was actually accepted by a computer science undergrad school in France, but they told me, okay, you need a visa or something. And then I went back. I've applied. Unfortunately, I realized I won't be able to get a visa because like consulate was embassy didn't want, I guess, me in there. I've applied 3 times and it did not work out. And I stayed in Turkey. So I spent 1 year learning French. And then I realized, okay, I have to be here. Then, okay, let's just get into undergrad school in Turkey.
Yeah. Did you learn French fluently?
I was very good. But I forgot. Like, it's been more than 14 years now.
Yeah. Wow.
13 years, yeah.
So you come here on a F1, right?
True.
You must have come here with some expectations of what it would be like in the US. So just looking back on your student years when you first got here, I mean, how did it match your expectations? Like, where were you just, okay, I know exactly what I'm getting, this is what you got, and where did it exceed expectations and where did it like miss expectations for you?
So I was always searching, okay, in order to work in the US, I need to like finish a degree or, finish my graduate school or undergrad school or something like that to get a like OPT, F1 OPT status where I could work. So I have to work, to be able to create my own company, right? So that was the idea. So I knew that I had to, get into masters. So in order to get to masters, I needed to get my TOEFL exam. So that was a little bit pain. I've actually got into it like 5 times. Oh man, that's the worst exam, I think.
Yeah.
4 hour long, and it's just full English, and yeah.
Right.
Yeah, after that I got into I had no money as well, so I didn't have that much money, so I found a teaching assistantship or first I found a graduate assistantship in Tennessee State, and then actually they told me it's not going to work out. So we won't be able to give you a graduate assistantship. So I think I didn't mention that in the article.
Yeah.
So, and then I realized, oh man, I need to pay like $8,000 every semester. Oh, it's impossible for me.
Right.
And then what happened was, okay, I went to every faculty in Tennessee State. Look, guys, I won't be able to. Do you need anything related to technical stuff? I can help. Or anything you guys want something. And then I told international student, what was it? Like department. And then I told them, look, I'm not going to be able to pay it. So I don't know how to do this. So they told me, okay, you can work here. You can do our website and then, update our website and do some maybe flyers or something like that. And then I was very excited because I was going to pay $4,000, so it becomes in-state, not out of state anymore.
Right.
And I would get paid I think $720 every month.
So go ahead, I'm sorry.
I've had a friend, they actually divided into 2. So I would work 10 hours every week, and then he would also work 10 hours, and then he would be in state as well.
Right.
Otherwise, out of state is very hard to afford.
Yeah.
As you know.
Of course. So you go through that process, and now it's, if I remember correctly, you were, as a student, you were applying for Y Combinator. Is that right?
So yeah, I was applying as a student while I was in my master's.
Wow. And so for people that are listening and don't know what Y Combinator is, it's probably the most famous and influential tech startup incubator in the country, if not the world. And
I think in the world.
Yeah, and it's helped start companies that a lot of people I'm sure have heard of. I believe Dropbox, Reddit, Airbnb, There's a few DoorDash, there's a few other really large ones too. So this is a really, really big deal to get into. And so you are wasting no time once you get into the United States as a student looking to break into that. So that's impressive. That's some points for Moxie. So you're trying to break into that as a student, right? Did you just first hear of that when you were in the US, or did you know about it before you got here?
So I actually, I didn't know, but I knew that in 2013, when I was working for my English, tried to improve my English, I realized, okay, look, I'm here, I need to do something, but what? I need to do something. keep thinking. And then in 2014, I realized, oh, maybe I can do something. About a social network where people do not brag about themselves, but they actually present their experience. So it was also about, experience, like building experience and, sharing with people. And then if you see someone has the same experience, you would just connect or something in common or something like that. Then I started working on this idea. And I think I was searching like how I can establish a company. It's there, and then I found Y Combinator, and I realized they are the biggest ones.
Yeah.
And then, oh man, I have to get into this right now.
Yeah.
So that was in 2014. I've applied there with my roommate. So my roommate is the one that actually we shared that graduate assistantship from health, actually. So yeah, that's how it started. That's when I learned, and my first application is in 2014, I think, or 15, one of them.
And then, so it doesn't work out when you're in graduate school, but then from your story, I see you make what I thought was a really smart transition in how you approached it. So instead of applying directly to Y Combinator, necessarily you started to apply to companies for jobs at companies that went through it or were going through it.
Yes.
That's a really smart insight to go about it that way. And so you tell the story. You do get a job. So where do you get a job?
So yeah, after master's, I realized, okay, I don't have enough experience, and I haven't worked in the US, so I don't know how things work. And okay, how can I accomplish all of those? I have to get into a YC company. So I've been applying to Dropbox and like handful of other YC companies. Also, I applied to other companies as well. So because it's really hard to, get into finding a job for the first time in the US when you have also OPT visa. So OPT, okay, it requires sponsorship, and then people don't actually want that person that much, unfortunately. So it's very hard. But I figured that, when there are like new graduates, there are really good talents in there. Like I can, I've also worked with some I'll get into that later. And then I started applying to YC companies, and then I found that this company who is looking for engineers, so it's ShipBob actually. They valued over $1 billion recently.
Yeah, they've achieved unicorn status.
Yeah, unicorn status right now. But when I actually got in there, I was the first engineer. So I was the first full-time hired engineer with one more person. But he hired as contractor first, and then he is hired as well.
And you were hired on an H-1B visa?
No, I was hired on F1 OPT.
Oh,
first time.
Yeah. So
luckily, the thing is, when I applied, I was in Turkey actually. I was visiting my mom, my parents, And then I was like, okay, I was in a room with my mom. Okay, mom, I'm going to get into a meeting. Just can you give me a second here? Like, and then I just, talked to like the CEO at ShipUp, and then luckily everything worked out. And he sent me a piece of code for me to, finish it out. I finished it in, I think, 2 hours or something, like right away. And then I send them, look, I finished it in 2 hours. Here's the code, etc. Yeah, that's about it actually. And then he told me, okay, when can you get to Chicago? Let's meet. And then, okay, yeah, I'll be there in some time. And then we met, and everything went well with the interview as well. And then I was hired. Yeah, that's how it started. And then when I got in there, I was very excited because, okay, this is a YC company. I have to really put everything I have like for this company to, be successful. So I can also learn from like what the YC successful company does. So luckily, yeah, it's really worked out. I'm very
And can
glad.
you, I know that you described that you had kind of your eureka moment where you figured out the company that you were gonna eventually start while you were working at ShipUp. Can you describe that a bit, how the idea came to you?
Yeah, absolutely. So ShipUp was growing. So we start with like 2 engineers, and then we scaled it to 40 engineers. And in about 1.5 years or 2 years, it was very quick. And then like every developer tries to put a feature, like try to, smash a feature or something like that, because, business requires it. And then when you do that one, you actually break some other parts. So what happens is there's I see this like this. Okay, there's a chassis of a car. There's nothing on it. And then everyone tries to put wheels on it, rims on it, and an engine on it, like like the body as well. And then what happens is if you do it so fast, things just fall apart. Or when you put something on this side and then the other side might break. So that actually happened. We started breaking some stuff here, and then I was doing support there as well. So I was making sure like customers happy with everything. If there's something wrong, customer support people just tag me, and then I would just fix it, fix the problem right away. And then I realized this is becoming a big problem. And then we spend a lot of money to, automate testing as well. I think in total ShipUp spent around $90,000 for just automating the tests. But even though, they wouldn't be able to fix it, I think. So yeah, I come up from that number from the, how many engineers spent on how much time. So I don't actually know how much. It's the, the number that I've come up with. Like, okay, wow, this is actually a big problem. And when you need,
it's not something unique to the particular company you were working for. This is something that happens with a lot of companies.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, and then we started creating some automation testing with my team in ShipUp. So we actually spent 6 weeks or 2 months, I'm not so sure about that number, creating 100 test cases. So these 100 test cases are automated. So they would log in and then go to orders page and then do some testing and then log out, log in. So those stuff, like 100 test cases. And then when you write those in a paper like this, so it will be a dumb example, but okay, get a tomato from the fridge and put it on the table if you want to cut tomatoes. So if you move the table by 1 inch, that thing actually, instead of the table, it will drop the tomato by the location, so everything will blow up because the tomato will fall on the ground, right?
Right.
So that what happens when everything is actually hard coded or hard, written.
Right.
It wouldn't work. So it would require some, okay, go back and update the location of the table. So it would just, work. So what happens is with 40 engineers, things just change so fast. So everything starts to break, even though the automation tests you created, they would, fail because you have to maintain them as well. So it wouldn't tell you the errors that, okay, we wouldn't be able to create the order on the UI. Instead, it would be, oh, something has changed. This is not a bug, but it's just a change that needed to happen by the business.
So what did you build to address this?
So I built a record and play tool at first. Okay, let me just, what if instead of writing everything, what if writing with the code, and you need also infrastructure to run these tests on, like Windows machines. You have to set up like 10 Ubuntu machines or something like that. There are some services out there. There also cost a lot of money about that, about this. But yeah, and then what I did was, okay, let me just record all the actions user do on the page, and then I would come up with a design that would adapt to the changes as well. So I have put, so when you log in, we actually record everything you do. And then we also not depend on the style. We would also know the context of each step as well.
Right.
So then we would be able to adapt to the changes and then update, like fix, like it would actually test the functionality that you were trying to test instead of hard-coded stuff. Okay, if you move the login button a little bit more, it will break. So it wouldn't happen.
It's an automation that could adjust in real time as things change. So
yeah,
I'm not a tech person, so just as a layman, what I'm understanding is you created an adjustable, adaptable automation to do this testing on websites that was previously done somewhat manually by teams of engineers. And so the purpose of doing this obviously is to cut down on the cost of using the engineers, perhaps make this testing available to smaller companies that can't afford teams of engineers, and ultimately, I assume, improve the customer or the end user experience by cutting down on the error rates as you go more towards automated and less independent engineer intensive. Is that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So what happens is this. So errors start happen on your web application.
Right.
And then, okay, oh man, I have to put testing in place.
Yeah.
So when you're in that position, it's required immediately. You don't want to wait 4 months to put something in place that tests everything.
You're going to have a lot of
what happens during that 4 months? Yeah, like you're going to have
unhappy customers and busy customer support people. So yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
With that system, yeah, no worries. So with that system, so it would take at least 60 minutes to create one test by hand for one engineer. So let's say if it costs around $60, let's say, like for like medium end. With our tool, you would just create that in 1 minute, and everybody can do it.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't rely on, so that's why developers also love it, because it's so quick.
Right. Right. And it also helps with client acquisition, I assume, and just keeping clients that you already have and taking some weight off the customer support people in addition. So I get
absolutely.
Yeah, I get the concept. It's very smart. So you pitched this to Y Combinator. Incredible moment in your life, I assume, when they tell you that you're in. I mean, that's an unbelievable achievement. I mean, it's fantastic. I mean, it's like the equivalent in your world, I guess, to like winning an Olympic medal. So I
Yeah,
understand
the
that.
acceptance rate is very low, actually.
Yeah,
It's
I would assume
below
so.
2%.
Yeah. But you get in and there's some immigration status complications in order to
That is true.
participate. So can you just give a
Mhm.
quick description of what that was and how you overcame that?
Yeah, absolutely. So, so when I actually got accepted to YC, I was just about to get my, I just got my H-1B. So I was very lucky, actually. Sometimes things happen, I don't know how, but if you want something, either luck happens or you create your own luck. I'm not sure. You can,
Yeah.
I think you catch your own luck or something. So this is, I actually told Shipab, look, I don't need sponsorship because I was very in need of YC job. So I told them, look, I don't need it. Hopefully, I don't know, maybe I will figure out along the way. And then they were saying, okay. But they were very fine with also sponsorship as well, but I just didn't want to lose them. So after like 2 years, I told them I have one more year like STEM extension. And I was like, look, guys, I need a sponsorship. And then what happened was for the last year, I was picked from the lottery, actually. I think the company has applied for 10 people and then only 2 got them. Only 2 got the H-1B lottery.
Yeah.
And then I was one of them.
That's
It's
amazing.
very funny. So it's very funny, actually. And then I got the H-1B. So I got H-1B October 2018. I think like in September, late September, I found out that I got it. And then in November 1st or November 2nd, I got a letter from YC that, okay, we want to interview you in California. I was like, yes. But I knew that, immigration was going to be something, but I went it anyway. So I needed to try. This is what I've been waiting for.
Yeah.
So I mean, even though I cannot stay here, I'm going to try. I'll just try everything. Yeah, and then I got a sabbatical leave at Shipab. I asked them, look, guys, I need a sabbatical leave. I've been talking to lawyers at the moment, and they told me you can get a sabbatical leave. And then luckily Shipab was okay with it. And yeah, I got a sabbatical leave for 6 months. And I built my own company. Yeah, after the interview, I got accepted, and I got in, hopefully. Yeah, I started building my own company. And after 6 months, man, this, I need to, hello?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here. Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, after 6 months, what happened is, I mean, startup is already very hard. Like you have to build your product, talk to customers, acquire them if you can. And early stage, founders need to also, like after YC, they give you 150K. I think right now they give you 120. You have to raise a fund to, to increase the amount of the months. It's just increases, hopefully. So you can live longer to, get your business in shape. So that also takes a lot of time. And I asked Shipab, look, I need a little bit more time. Again, I think I got like 4 months or 3 months extra. And I kept working. We raised our seed round at that point. And then I realized, so at the moment, I also like in Turkey there has been some complications, and my family actually came to the US as well at the moment. And then I had the option to, stay here with the Asylum. And then I never, I didn't want to use that one because I wanted to, use like work visa so I can maybe get out of US and go to some other places. Like I wanted to be a little bit freer than just being with that title. And then I realized I'm not going to be able to do this anymore because I wasn't getting any salary from Preflight because I can't. I cannot actually get salary. I can't do anything. And then and my brothers were supporting me at the time.
Yeah, I read that.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the, I mean, thus far from what you described, one of the things that really jumps out about this story, and it speaks so well of you, and it speaks so well of the people that you're dealing with at ShipBob. I mean, it sounds like they really provided you the kind of this bridge to get to that point where you can get permanent status. And if they didn't do that, the Y Combinator thing may not have happened. And for them to do that for you, and from what I understand, they're a client of yours now as well, right? They must have had they must have
cutting off a little bit.
I'm sorry. I said they're a client of yours as well now, a Preflight, right?
ShipBob?
Yeah.
So actually, that's a funny story. They were about to start, but I think they won't do it. I just learned actually yesterday that
I'm sorry
they were not going to use ShipBob. Yeah,
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But in any case, for them to provide the assistance that they provided you, you must have made quite an impression there. And they must have really taken a liking to you and trusted you. So for people that you're working for to really try to help you in that way, it really speaks so highly of both parties. So
I'm very glad how they helped me on that one. I'm very, I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
But I think, that's related to how like there have been days that I went to ShipBob at 5 a.m. And I left at 8 p.m. So I really worked hard at ShipBob.
Yeah, I mean, you obviously made a
probably
massive
worked maybe harder than how I'm working right now. I cannot get to that point anymore. I don't know. I was young, a little bit younger. I really worked like 14 days. And also there had been some days before Series A, ShipBob was going to raise Series A. I actually worked on the weekends as well because we needed to publish. We wanted to handle the returns as well. Like returns is a big like solution for fulfillment, right? So that's why actually I worked over the weekends and we got the returns in place before Series B. So I think that also helped ShipBob raise Series B as well.
So you have your company now. It sounds like from what you're writing, things are moving in the right direction. It's going well.
Thankful about that.
How is your experience as an immigrant and going through this whole process of, I see, you initially come here on an F1, eventually as an H1B, you try a couple of other visa options or look into them, and eventually you get your asylee status. That is a really, really long journey and a lot of effort. How do you think that has shaped you as an entrepreneur going through that?
That really makes you resilient, I think, to any obstacles you face. I mean, I think I talked to a lot of people who wants to get into YC, and they tell me, look, I've applied 2 times and they rejected me. You know how many times I've applied, man?
6.
That's what I applied like 6 times. I mean, you have to keep trying. and I've applied to TechStars as well 2 times.
Yeah.
I don't even mention about those things. I mean, like, yeah, it's kind of, it's tough, but you know what I like about US is everything is possible here. The immigration is a little bit tough. I wish it was a little bit easier, but yeah, everyone is telling that, you know, it's very easy to get to the US. Like, it's not easy, man. Let me
I
tell
don't
you,
see many
it's not
people
easy.
say that.
It really takes a lot of time.
You ever hear of Nassim Taleb? Do you know who Nassim Taleb is?
No.
So he's a pretty famous author, and he's written a series of books. Largely, it has to do with risk. You know, he wrote the book The Black Swan. That's how he first became famous. But he had another book called Antifragile.
Oh, I see.
And what he writes about that, to me, seems like a better description of your story and you than resilient. What he basically says on that topic is that something that is resilient can take a lot of damage, but eventually it breaks. Right? That's resiliency. It's very strong, but eventually it will break. Anti-fragile, on the other hand, can you hear me okay? Can you hear me okay? Anti-fragile is something that gets stronger.
Yeah, you're cutting off a little bit.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Can you repeat that?
Yeah, sure. Resilience, he's saying, is something that is very strong, but eventually over time it'll break. You know, you have a structure that's very resilient. Eventually it falls. But anti-fragile is something that gets stronger because of the resistance, because of things happening to it. So it sounds like as you're going through this story of 6 attempts at Y Combinator and these multiple immigration attempts, you're not just resilient that you're getting through it, but you're getting better because of it. So it sounds like that's almost a better description. You're stronger and better now than you were when this started. I assume you're a better entrepreneur now than when this started. So, but anyway, that just came to mind as you were describing.
I didn't know. Yeah, I didn't know anything in 2014 when I was first applying to YC.
Yeah.
So, but you know, when you keep going, you just learn things. And also, you know, when you're a founder, you actually marry with someone. If you have a co-founder, that's actually a marriage as well. So I broke up with my co-founder as well in March as well. So that was also a little bit harsh.
Yeah,
I think that's very hard.
Yeah,
it's
very like a marriage.
Hard.
Yeah.
But things happen. And then you just build resilience, I guess.
Well, the other word that comes to mind is persistence. Just this ability to persist. Where did that come from? I mean, were you always that way, or is this something that you developed over time? Like, what's the root of being so persistent?
So when I really want something, I don't know. This is about me. So I don't like to brag about myself, but I always want to, you know, finish it right now. So if I can't, if it's like 11 p.m. or like 1 a.m. or 2 a.m., I need to finish this because I know I'm not going to be able to sleep.
Yeah.
Even though I just go to bed, it will just keep bothering me. Oh, maybe I can do this way. Maybe I can do that way. I don't know. It's just how much you want that thing. I like the thing just pushes me. Okay, like there are lots of people out there need help in terms of like hunger, or you know, they're poor or something like that. And you know, if you have something that, you know, support that maybe by any fraction being a successful, very successful, and do some good in the world in a global matter, instead of just, you know, helping one or two to change everything. Like, you have to keep going.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just something that, you know, if you have the chance, I mean, everyone has the chance. You just have to find out what you're willing to do what you want to do and then just go after it.
So if you were talking to somebody right now that's sitting outside the United States or just got here and they're looking to go on a similar journey that you went on, they want to start a company here, they want to start a life in the US. Do you have any advice for them?
So, yeah, of course. You cannot try once or twice. You have to try at least 100 times till things just work out. Like for me, I think I've applied to YC a lot of times. I've applied to a lot of jobs actually. I think I've applied to maybe 300-400, but ship up luckily happened. I'm glad that's what happened. But if you try that hard, you can actually have a chance to capture your chance as well.
Mhm.
So
Right.
it's really so things happen in chains, I think. So when you actually complete the chain, the other chain starts from the like also, I mean, gets there somehow. Like you have to keep trying. So things just like, you know, I don't know. It's very tough, but you have to just keep trying.
I got one more question.
Yeah, please.
You know, as you go through this story, going back from 10 years old to, you know, trying to go to France and then going back to Turkey and eventually coming to the US and 6 attempts at Y Combinator and all of this, as you sit here today, was it worth it for you? Do you feel like all of this effort to get where you are right now and where you think you're going to be, was it worth it? Would you do it again?
That's a good question, actually. I think I would do it again. Yeah. But there's also one part that, you know, okay, when you get here, you don't actually have your friends that what you have in your own country.
Right.
So it will be tough for you to actually replace them.
Yeah.
So one part always tells me maybe just stay with your friends and, you know, live your life, but that would never actually help me change the world, and it would always there would be a, you know, always that something bugs me about this. Okay, maybe you could do something, maybe you could do something,
Right.
but now I don't have that urge.
And pre-flight, I assume
it's a choice that we make. Yeah.
Yeah, I assume pre-flight, you don't think that would have been possible based in Turkey?
I don't think so. It's
I mean, when I
well, I don't think, yeah, it's not, yeah, it's kind of hard. You need to have a good English, and if you want really good English, you really have to live in a country that is spoken. Man, it's just if I mean, like, there are a lot of Turkish people who does perfect job at that, but I don't know. But when you're here, actually, the sales is also getting a little bit easier as well.
Yeah.
Because your tool is out of United States.
And the fundraising too, I assume.
Absolutely. So fundraising is actually easier. I've been talking to some international founders. They're talking to me, look, this is what I went through and I wasn't able to raise capital. I'm telling them, if you were here, I think you would have done it. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there anything I didn't ask or go over that you wanted to discuss or say?
No, I think that's all. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I mean,
Thank
you know,
you very much.
oh, thank you. This was wonderful. The one thing that just comes to mind is when you're going through this story, and there's obviously some lucky breaks that played a role in your success. I mean, obviously this is not happening without the gargantuan level of effort and the talent that you have. But how many startups are we losing in this country because of the difficulties with the immigration system? I mean, there's there's how many people don't have the persistence you have, or maybe the ball bounces in a different direction and it just doesn't work out. So,
yeah, I probably would say more than 70%.
Yeah.
I think.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I would agree. So,
If well, yeah, think about, those startups also be successful as well. And then US economy would be even more
yeah, I mean,
stronger.
how much better off are we all here because you and people like you are here doing what you're doing? So, it's just something on the political and policy level I'd love to see change to make it easier for people to come here, especially talented people looking to start businesses. So,
Absolutely.
but this was great. I really appreciate you taking the time. So I personally got a lot out of your story, and I think a lot of other people will as well. So thank you for sharing it.
Thank you, Joe. It was been a blast as well. I really enjoyed talking to you as well. Thank
Great.
you very much, man.
Thank you.